Judging by that sign, we are now in Nebraska. Welcome everyone, Adam the Woo here, and I've always wanted to drive through this state in its entirety while listening to this repeatedly without removing it from the CD player. It's my second channel, daily vlog channel. It's, get in there, The Daily Woo. They put these big stop signs up with the lights flashing, because if not, you just get in your own world and drive right through the intersection. Self-pumping. What'll they think of next? I'm en route to a little community just up the road here that was the childhood home of Tonight Show host Johnny Carson, a place that he held near and dear to his heart that was made evidence in the 1982 NBC special simply titled Johnny Comes Home. And I'll put the link to that video down below because I will be referencing lots of points throughout this video to that special. In fact, I highly encourage you to check it out. It shows a side of the man that you might not be familiar with. 35 years ago it came out. Time sure does fly. And it looks as if Norfolk has embraced their own with this fantastic mural showing his career from the very beginning as a magician up through his life and his tearful goodbye upon retirement. When I mentioned the name of the TV program, I got it slightly incorrect. It's not Johnny Comes Home, it's Johnny Goes Home. And he mentions that when he was 8 years old in 1933, his family stayed on the 4th floor of this hotel, and he got very little sleep because of the traffic that was driving through here. And as a small child, to us, it doesn't seem like a lot of traffic, but to him, he remembers it well. It's now called the Kensington, but it was called something different back then. I'm sure the constant train noise as they pass by didn't help in the slumber department either. One thing you don't see in too many places are these old school video stores. Look, there's Rambo up there. I'm your worst nightmare. And check it out. They actually have the VHS tapes on the sign. Wow. Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, Lethal Weapon action up there. Eastwood, Blues Brothers. And take a look inside. They still have the old school format. A nice little 7-Up painting on the side of the brick. I always love those. It's definitely like walking through a time capsule. Look at that old neon sign circa 1919. Hotel Elkhorn. Walking down the sidewalk, he tells a story how he purchased his girlfriend a Valentine's Day present from this jewelry shop. It looks considerably different, repainted, but if you look closely up top, you can see the brackets where the sign, the old neon sign, used to hang. Wetzel Jewelries. It's amazing those brackets are still up there. Just down this side street a bit is the former home of Nelson's Bike Shop. It looks pretty much identical now as it did then, with the exception of a few different color schemes on the paint, on the trim. But the bricks still remain, as well as the entryway. His dad purchased his very first bicycle right inside this door. That's a pretty big part of anyone's life. And for him, it happened here. When he revisited in the early 80s, they still had the logbook, the receipt, confirmation of a purchase that happened 40 years earlier. Pretty incredible. And as I peek back in the window again, the bathroom and the stairs and the back door and sink are still in the same spots. He was over there in the corner looking at the logbook. fascinated by how they still had it on file. Cue the local ride through the streets on a bicycle with a local female resident on the middle bar, because that's where it happened, right here on this block. There was considerably more people and vehicles, but this is where he was just cruising along. This vintage piece of neon is pretty interesting. Office/bar. Well, I guess technically you could have your office inside a bar, so it makes sense. Behind one of the businesses in the alley, it's almost like you could play Wheel of Fortune with those letters. Am I right, Lion? You want to buy a vowel? You have to look very closely, but you can faintly make out the words barbershop. In fact, the pole, the colorful spinning pole, used to be mounted right there, and you had to descend this staircase into the basement. Now, the gentleman in that special, who was the barber who owned this place, his name was Dick Adams. I did a little research, and later in life, he was shot by a would-be robber inside that door. I just talked to a local resident, and there seems to be a little discrepancy on where the incident took place. It seems he moved out of that shop and into this hair beauty salon obviously before they moved in. And that's where the incident took place. This is the back entrance of a former Five and Dime called Hested's. This store used to be painted red, and Johnny tells a story about how the shop owner pulled him back into the alley and threatened to take him to his father, who worked right over there. Now, this looks all totally different, and it's changed over the last 3 decades. But he shares the memory of his first time shoplifting, and it convinced him that he needed to follow the straight and narrow and do things the right way. A pretty heartfelt story that he told right here. This is 13th Street, but notice the sign. They have renamed it in honor of Johnny Carson. And there it is, the boyhood home. It's painted brown now. Back when he lived here, it was white. And I think about a decade or so ago, an SUV drove off the thoroughfare onto the porch and completely destroyed the first third of the house. But they've restructured it, and it's back to its former glory. Peeking through the screen, you can see a fireplace on that wall. His father built that fireplace with his own 2 hands. Someone has done a heck of a job restoring this place. Pigeons used to nest right up there in that little corner of the roof, and he recalls looking out his bedroom window right there and listening to them make that incessant racket. And the first time he learned how to drive a car was right here where this driveway is now. He didn't pull out in the street. He didn't have the guts to do that, so he would go forward and backward, forward and backward, forward and backward, attempting not to run into the garage door. The neighbor's house looks pretty much exactly the same, and I'm happy to say that they have replaced and put a new basketball hoop where the old one once stood. When NBC was here, he was shooting 3-pointers from this very line and sinking them 3 or 4 in a row. He's a pretty good basketball player. Oh. Let's get a game going, Adam. Oh, yeah! Yeah! I'm gonna be like Carson. I'm at the line. This is a dodgeball, by the way. It's not a regular basketball, which makes it more difficult. It's way more bouncy. Be like Carson. Be at one with Carson. No, I like Carson, not like Leno. Don't be fooled by the junior high lettering. This used to be the high school. In fact, this is the one that he attended, and he mentions that he hopes this place never gets demolished because it was in a magazine once as one of the most epic marvels of modern U.S. architecture. Well, you're in luck. It still remains. The carving states 1921. Almost 100 years old. We're getting a first-hand view of a passing train in Nebraska Central. It's very quiet for a train. It's one of those newfangled silent trains. Oh, you know what? The window, that's because of my window. There you go. Now you can get the ambiance. You'll notice how this salon is titled Granada. They did that as an homage to the former theater that used to sit in this empty lot that was connected to the building. He recalls being an usher here. In fact, he was working the day that the attacks on Pearl Harbor happened. And he goes on to say, down in the basement, all the other co-workers signed their names on the wall. So below this now concrete pad could be buried with either cement or sand, his signature from way back when. Who knows if it's still down there? In reality, there's probably nothing down there except the chuds. Are the chuds down there? Had a little bit of a hike down these railroad tracks, crossing the river. And this is a stand by me moment, to say the least. But it's also where the end of that television segment happened. In fact, there was a news article in a magazine where he's standing right here at the threshold of this very bridge, right there in the middle. Whatever you do, don't look down. The interesting thing is, he actually hung from the bottom of this. No joke, the host of the #1 nighttime talk show climbed right down there and then scaffolded his way underneath the rails and hung there while the train went by, Lost Boy style. Kiefer status. Whoa. 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 Oh, oh, oh. You're better at this than I am. Can you switch? By the way, this is Chris. He has a YouTube channel, Mobile Instinct. I'm stuck here. I'm stuck here. Just don't leave me here. Just don't leave me. No, don't leave me. I'll be down here. Don't leave me. Don't leave me the train. Come back! Come back! See you, Adam. Vlog over.